Welcome to another episode of Agentic AI, the future of intelligent systems. In this podcast, we're going to talk about what really changes when AI systems stop behaving like short lived model calls and start behaving like long running agents, and why that shift makes lean agentic AI not just useful but necessary. Think about how AI assistants were supposed to work. You ask a question, you get an answer, the interaction ends. That mental model is already outdated. The most interesting AI systems today don't stop when a response is delivered. They stay alive. They reason, invoke tools, remember what just happened, and continue operating while interacting with real environments. They don't behave like model calls anymore. They behave like software runtimes. And the moment AI systems cross that line, everything changes. Cost is no longer a billing detail. Carbon is no longer an abstract concern. Complexity is no longer someone else's problem. They become architectural constraints. This is where lean agentic AI becomes necessary, not as an optimization, but as a discipline. To explore this, it helps to look at a real system that already operates in this always on mode. OpenClaw, formerly known as CloudBot. OpenClaw is an open source personal AI assistant, but not in the way most people imagine. It isn't built as a request response chatbot layered on top of a model. It's built as a long running agent runtime. It stays on, it reasons across time, it invokes tools, it maintains state, it interacts with real systems like email, calendars, files, and external services. Users interact with it through familiar chat interfaces, messaging platforms such as WhatsApp or Telegram. But behind that, simplicity is a very deliberate structure. A gateway receives intent and coordinates execution. Skills handle planning, summarization, analysis, or decomposition. Tools provide controlled access to the outside world. File systems, browsers, APIs, shell commands. A message comes in. Intent is interpreted. A skill is selected. A tool is invoked. And the agent keeps running. To be very explicit, OpenClaw is not being presented here as a lean system. It is being used as a concrete example, a representative agentic architecture to show how lean agentic AI principles can be applied in practice. The same ideas apply to any long running agent that reasons, invokes tools, maintains state, and operates over time. OpenClaw simply gives us a clear, real world structure to work with. By walking through an architecture like this, it becomes easier to see where lean decisions are made, where waste appears, and how those decisions can be enforced deliberately rather than left to chance. When OpenClaw was first released under the name CloudBot in late 2025 and later renamed in early 2026, adoption accelerated rapidly. GitHub activities surged. Thousands of developers began running agents continuously rather than experimentally. Many deployments shifted toward local first execution, which made something previously invisible very obvious. Long running agents don't just answer questions, they accumulate behavior, they accumulate memory, they accumulate cost, energy use, and operational complexity. And they do it whether or not anyone is paying attention. This isn't unique to OpenClaw, it's a property of agentic systems once reasoning, tools, and persistence are combined. Once an agent is structured this way, it stops behaving like an isolated model invocation and starts behaving like a runtime system. It can persist, it can chain actions, it can trigger other agents, it can remain active even when idle. This is exactly the environment Lean Agentic AI is designed for. Lean Agentic assumes agentic systems will scale. It assumes they will operate continuously in production. What it challenges is the idea that cost, carbon, and complexity can be treated as secondary concerns. In agentic systems, these are runtime properties. Every routing decision has a cost and a carbon footprint. Every retry multiplies energy use. Every retained context increases complexity. So the core question changes, not can the agent do this, but is this the right way to do it repeatedly at scale? Using an architecture like OpenClaw makes it possible to apply lean principles deliberately. The gateway becomes a control plane rather than a pass through. Lightweight models handle intent detection and routing. Mid tier models handle structured execution. Larger models are invoked only when deeper reasoning is actually required. Heavy computation becomes intentional rather than accidental, reducing cost, lowering carbon intensity, and improving predictability. Skills are treated as ephemeral and purpose built. They operate with minimal context, avoid inheriting global state, and terminate as soon as the task is complete. This prevents reasoning chains from silently growing and keeps long running agents stable. Context is handled differently as well. Instead of accumulating everything an agent might know, Lean Agentic AI enforces context hydration. Relevant information is extracted or compressed first, and reasoning operates only on what is strictly required. In practice, this often reduces prompt sizes by 20 to 40% with direct economic and energy benefits. Lean agents also operate within explicit limits. Retries are capped. Escalation is deliberate. Stopping is allowed. An agent that knows when to stop is not failing, it is behaving correctly. Memory is treated as a scarce resource. One of the central ideas in Lean Agentic AI is that memory is not context and memory is not free. Retained memory increases inference cost. Longer prompts consume more energy. Unmanaged memory makes systems harder to reason about, secure, and evolve. Memory is intentionally stratified. There is short lived working memory scoped to a task, minimal execution, state for continuity, long term memory that is deliberately retained, and residual memory, reasoning traces and artifacts that should not persist at all. If memory does not improve future performance, it should not be kept. Forgetting in this model is not a bug, it is a design requirement. Task completion, pruning, time based expiry, and value based retention prevents silent prompt growth, rising energy per task, and compounding operational complexity. Forgetting keeps long running agents predictable. Lean Agentic AI also addresses repeated cognition. Agents often recompute identical results. Cognitive caching allows reuse when prompts, inputs, and tools are unchanged with freshness boundaries applied deliberately. This works well for static inputs like documents or logs, and poorly for time sensitive data. Applied selectively, it can eliminate a quarter to nearly half of redundant inference in repetitive workflows. Behavior adapts over time, but not through retraining. Lean agents adjust routing decisions using runtime feedback, thresholds, success rates, escalation outcomes, keeping behavior transparent and auditable while steadily reducing waste. Security is treated as a lean constraint, not a reactive layer. Agent ecosystems introduce a supply chain of skills, tools, and prompts. This risk is real. In the OpenClaw ecosystem, more than 1,000 gateways were at one point publicly accessible, illustrating how quickly attack surfaces can expand without architectural guardrails. Lean security focuses on containment, skill vetting, tool sandboxing, detection of prompt and tool poisoning, and intentional limitation of blast radius. Finally, there's the environmental reality. The carbon impact of agentic systems is multiplicative, not linear. Agents trigger other agents. Workflows cascade. Idle systems stay alive. One decision fans out into many executions. Carbon impact becomes a function of behavior and interaction patterns, not just model choice. Lean Agentic AI bounds execution paths, enforces memory decay, caches cognition, and limits retries, so agent networks don't quietly spiral out of control. Systems like OpenClaw help us understand what agentic architectures look like once reasoning, tools, and persistence converge. Lean Agentic AI defines how those systems remain viable over time. By grounding design in cost, carbon, and complexity, and by treating memory, behavior, security, and energy as first class architectural concerns, Lean Agentic AI enables agentic systems to operate continuously and responsibly without collapsing under their own weight. For deeper exploration of these ideas, including runtime control loops, memory architecture, governance, and energy aware design, they are covered in depth in the book Lean Agentic AI. More material and references are available at leanagenticai.com. Till next time, keep building, keep questioning, and keep designing agentic systems that are not just powerful but sustainable.